Ha, ha, have you have you subscribed yet? Come on, just hit the little subscribe button. Only joking. Welcome back, everyone. Obviously, yesterday, basically every week I try and release a video. The same thing happened to me this week as it did last week. My wife, who's on maternity leave, went back to work, what they call a keeping in touch day. So I had to look after my 9-month-old yesterday. So I'm releasing this video today because what I like to do is I like to actually film the video on the day, because even though I talk about a topic, it's almost a bit of a vlog as well. I like to let you guys know what's ongoing sort of with my business, and what I'm up to on that day, or what's been happening at the weekend. So that's why I personally like to film on the morning and then upload it that day. Obviously, things like this happen where this is the downside of it, where it gets delayed and I don't get it out on my preferred day. But anyway, like I said, once a week is what I like to do. So here's this week's video. And I think it's a nice topic to talk about, and that's how to actually start a wedding videography business. So if we sort of talk about myself, because that's what, I'm documenting my career. So for a year and a half now, just almost a year and a half now, I've been self-employed. So before, I haven't actually mentioned who I used to work for. So I used to work for the Metropolitan Police Service in a training department, and I used to produce all their training videos for a certain type of training that we did called Hydra. It's like an immersive learning. And we used to do all ranks, all like multi-agency, loads of different things. And I did that for almost 10 years working in London. When I first started, there was another guy. There was Mick. This was quite funny because he had Mick and Nick. And he was a bit of an older gentleman. He was 60 when I first started. And that was my first, I would say, proper job. So I studied digital media at uni, and like media studies and everything at school. And I then got a video. I did the usual travelling after uni, and then got myself a proper job. Then I married I'm going into a lot of detail here. Married a Welsh girl. She came to London to work. We met. A few years later, got married, and now we're in South Wales. So I had to leave my current job, which, to be honest with you, I'll probably still be working there. Well, I would still be working there if I was still living in London. So, but as of December, so just a few months ago, I was actually going back as a contractor on a nice daily wage, whilst they sort of got my replacement. And that's why... and when we first bought the house, I didn't actually quit my job. I was commuting up and down to Wales, staying with my mum and dad back in London for work, and I was building my wedding business on the side. So I was very busy. Also had a 1-year-old daughter when we first moved as well. So everything was very, very busy. So I was fortunate enough to build my portfolio whilst having a full-time salary. And so if you're looking to start your wedding videography business, I would highly recommend doing it whilst you've got some... I don't know if you can hear some screaming. My 3-year-old's also a bit poorly today, and she was off school yesterday, so I had my 9-month and my 3-year-old I was looking after yesterday. I can hear the screaming, I don't know if you can. Anyway, so if you do have a full-time job, I would definitely build your portfolio whilst you've still got it, because here's my tips. Do your first one Some serious screaming there. Do your first one for free. If you got no experience. So I had, I was doing video production. So when I first did it, I had like 8.5, 9 years experience in video production, but nothing in weddings. So I didn't actually do what I'm going to tell you. But what you can do is basically offer your services for free. And tell your friends and family, post it on Facebook, join some wedding bride planning groups on Facebook, saying you're looking to do a wedding for free to build your experience. And now the key thing to let your brides and grooms, or whoever you're filming the wedding for, is let them know there's no expectations. This is a service for free. You're building your portfolio. Worst case scenario is that they don't even get any final video at the end. Because if you're not happy with it and it turns out rubbish, as long as they know that, then there's literally no expectations. So you would also need a wedding contract. Get a wedding contract as well, which a few months ago I have got a video on my wedding contract. So I talk through sort of what I put into it. So go check that video out and just get a rough contract down, even though it's for free. And now I don't want to sound out of order, or just basically be picky with who your couple is and what venue they're getting married at. Because for your portfolio, you probably want one of the nicer venues in your area. So here in South Wales, if I was choosing a wedding venue, I would either go, I'm more Swansea based, so I'd either go somewhere down the Gower, like Old Walls, Fairy Hill, Oxwich Bay, one of the nicer venues. But also be picky with what the couple looks like as well. Now, there's that famous saying, sex sells, because you want to try and get a good looking couple, and that can be any shape and size. I'm not saying get like a thin model, but get them quite good looking, quite young, and this will help to get further business down the future, because that's what you want to do with your portfolio. You're there to build, to get a wedding you can start showing off to people. So that's the route I would take. You could go down the route of doing a styled shoot, but that obviously gives you a good looking couple, because it's usually models that are on these styled shoots, but it doesn't give you real life experience of filming a wedding. A lot of weddings are different. You can have, like, take mine for example. A few weeks ago, 15th of Feb, I had a wedding, and it was all down in Oxwich Bay. Bride prep was at Oxwich Bay. Ceremony was there. The reception was there. But this was a little bit different, where she started getting ready in one room and then moved up to another. So I've got her, literally the video's got the start of her makeup in one room and then the final touches in another room. So that's the first time that's happened to me, where the bride's actually moved room. But I've actually got a wedding this Friday the 13th, unlucky for some, where they're getting married at the mum's. Bride prep is at the mum's house, and it's literally long down in the Mumbles, long road. You've got reception there, like mum's house there, so bride prep's happening there, and then down here you got the church ceremony. So I'm going from bride prep to church, and then after church we're going past where they're having the reception. All the rest of the guests will go in there, and we're going down to one of the nice bays and have a little photo shoot for an hour, and then we're going back to the reception. So there's quite a few different places we're going to on that day. So that's what I mean, like weddings can be different. So filming an actual one for you is probably the best way to get that experience. So once you've got one wedding for free, you can then do what I did, is I started offering discount. I just put a message out on Facebook saying, I've been in video production for 10 years, looking to film weddings. If you know anyone who's getting married, let them know. I've got this 50% off offer on. And I did that for my first year. It was all 50%. Did about 15 weddings, and obviously gained a lot of experience. But what you also get is then the referrals. So I've had one photographer that I filmed in the September of my first year. I'm filming a bride's wedding this September actually, because of his recommendation. Last year I filmed a wedding from previous year, like a recommendation from a friend, one of the bridesmaids, and I've got the other bridesmaid this year as well at King Arthur, so a nice hotel. It's a hotel, so a nice venue down the Gower, and I got those bookings from my first year by offering 50% off. And what you'll find is these will then slowly over time build up, because not everyone gets married that year or the year after. They might have a group of friends, and within 5 years, that group might all be getting married, and then you get some nice referrals. So you look, basically when you're starting out, you're looking to build your portfolio. Now you want to get your website sorted out. Now you've got some stuff to show off, because if you have a website before and you've got no films on there, why would someone want to book you as a wedding videographer with no films? So get your portfolio, then put it on your website. And on your website, I would probably just have about half a dozen of your best films. You don't want any of your rubbish ones, or, like I said, different weddings can be different. You might have audio problems at one wedding. You might have shot it beautifully, but you had some audio issues and the audio might not be on point, so you might not want to put that one on your website. But get your 6 best films on your website. Then, so this is kind of like throughout, this will probably take you quite a while, good year. This is sort of building up. You want to start hitting the wedding fairs. And to be honest, that's where I get the majority of my bookings. You then get to network with people. So I've been doing the Welsh National Wedding Fair now quite a few times. I've networked with loads of people there. I knew the wedding that I've got this Friday. So this wedding, the Welsh National Wedding Fair, I did in February, and I knew the photographers were there. So I went around, had a chat with them beforehand. Just makes it a little bit easier than on the day. And because of that wedding fair, I managed to do another one on Sunday for free at the Village Hotel in Swansea. It's a lot smaller, literally about 5 brides turned up. But it was free. I was out there promoting myself. Always helps. A bit of Facebook content there as well, tagging the venue. So you can do a lot of things with that. So like I said, if you're starting out, that's what you want to do. You want to try and get your first 1 or 2 for free. Then once you've got some nice videos, start offering a bit of discount and just build your portfolio slowly. But then you might be like, Nick, how can I actually film a wedding? I've got no idea where to start with gear. So that leads me on to equipment. So for your first weddings, you don't want anything complicated. Just keep things very simple. So first of all, you need a camera. So you might be lucky enough to own a nice camera. I've got the C200. This is my main camera that I film on. So if you are looking to get a camera, you could either buy one or you could rent. That's always an option, renting. And I would try and get a camera that has no record limit. You'll just find it easier when it comes to editing. There's no stop starting, especially if you're in a sensitive, especially if you're in the ceremony and they've got to their vows and you need to stop start your camera and you just lose like maybe a second of footage. So try and get something that's got no record limit. And my B cam is the 6D Mark II, and that's what I do find a little bit annoying. Normal ceremonies, sort of when they're at the venue, these ceremonies are like 10-20 minutes, so that's fine. That covers the 30-minute record limit that the 6D Mark II has. That's why I'm actually planning on getting some C100s sort of as a B and C cam, because it's got no record limit there. But obviously you've got your camera body is one, you need your lens. And if I was starting out, I'd probably get something like a 24 to 70mm. Be very flexible with it. It's a great lens. And I would have that all on a monopod. So I'll put I've got Excuse me. So if you check out nickfinch.co.uk/kit, put a little link in the description below, that's where I've listed all the kit that I use. You don't have to use it all, but just have a look. You can get cheaper alternatives. So I have got some Amazon links, which, yes, they are affiliates, and that's one, I get a few pence for every time you purchase something. It's not a lot, but it helps, and that's one of the reasons why I like to do it, because I'm letting you know my kits, and then I get a little bit of sort of commission, but literally it's not that much. So you need your monopod, because this is, you can be flexible on it. You can move it around. My very first wedding I went to, I took my big tripod that I use for my commercial shoots, and it was just way too big. So I literally have a monopod. So that's sort of like the visual all taken care of. The next thing you need is audio, and audio is just as important as the video. And I highly recommend getting a lapel mic. And I have, if you are literally new to filmmaking, wedding filmmaking, check out my videos. I've got plenty on sort of audio gear. But I'll just quickly run you through sort of how I use the lapel mic. So I put this on the groom for the ceremony, and that literally picks up the bride when she talks, and the registrar/vicar/celebrant, whoever's running the day. And sometimes I put one on them as well if they don't mind. Sometimes they get a bit arsey and they're like, oh no, I don't really want to, my voice isn't loud enough. So I always put it on. The groom definitely gets one. But again, so I've got the Zoom F1. There are other cheaper alternatives. A lot of people like the Sony TX650s. But if you look at the settings, this Zoom F1 is, in my opinion, is a lot better. But if you're just starting up, those Sony TX650s are great. And I'm actually looking to get a few myself as backups, and when it sort of comes to the speeches as well. So I would definitely have that. I have, it's actually just sitting on the desk in front of me, the Zoom H5. Now this is good because this will act as your backup for the ceremony, so you can just have it on the table, or you can plug, especially if they've got a microphone system there. Sometimes they do at the ceremony. I've had that personally very rarely, but with some right cabling, which I've got a video on, shock, you can plug sort of directly to a soundboard. Some venues have these fancy, completely different soundboards that I can't always plug into, but majority of the time I can. And I would also have some sort of smaller one, audio recorder, like a Zoom H1, and I use this sort of style as backups. And again, so if you are already plugged into their sound system, you could have that one on the table whilst the ceremony's going on as your backup. Other times I use this, so if you are wondering a bit on audio, for the speeches as well, if they've got a microphone, you can plug straight into their soundboard again, which works a treat. That's my sort of go-to. I then I've got two Zoom F1s, so I put one on the groom and one on the father of the bride. And then the best man, I kind of rely on, if he's got the microphone plugged into the sound system, or if he's standing at the table, I've got a couple of Zoom. I'm looking to get Zoom H1s. I've got a couple of these Olympus ones. They're a bit out of date, a bit old, but they actually do the job quite well. And I've got those on the table that I just hit record on. So that's how I'm sort of covered on the audio. But I know you're just there starting out. You might not want to spend a lot on equipment, but these are what I'd say the essential items. Obviously, you need some sort of bag to carry it all. I use Think Tank. I think they're quite good. Quite expensive, but again, you could just take a rucksack if you wanted to. But you obviously need to carry all your equipment in, and you want to take some accessories with you. I take this. It's like one of those USB power banks, and that's how I actually run this. This will stay on for about 15 hours, powered into that. How do I know? Because I tested it. That's that. Depending on your camera, you might want some sort of variable ND filter for when you're going inside and outside, because you might not know about camera settings. And my very first video, I probably really need to update this one, is talk about camera settings. So obviously you want to try and keep things cinematic. Your frames per second, there's a big debate here, but 24 frames per second is the cinematic way. So you want to have your shutter speed double that for that motion blurriness, which would be 48. Because I know a lot of people might, when they go outside, they adjust the shutter when they're trying to adjust the exposure, but just get an ND filter so you can keep all your settings the same, have some sort of variable ND filter, and you might adjust the ISO a little bit, but that's what you want to adjust rather than the shutter speed. So you want to keep the frames per second and shutter speed exactly the same throughout the whole day. Let me just think of any other accessories. Yep. Batteries. If you don't, these take batteries. These F1s take batteries. The Zoom H1s take batteries. So I put fresh batteries every wedding I go to, but always have backups with me. Never had to change them. The batteries literally last the hour ceremony max plus the speeches. But I like to put fresh batteries in. Then I know I'm covered. I know, just looking over at my bag there. Some electrical tape. This is probably one of the best things that you can take. You can always, I don't want picking this up because it's not a Zoom H1, but if you've got some sort of smaller audio recorder, you can also tape that to the microphone. So whoever's holding the microphone, they've also got your recorder right close to their mouth as well. Because as you know, the way to get nice clean audio is to have your recording device, whatever you want to call it, as close to the source as you can. So like today, I've got my microphones just here, sort of about 6 to 12 inches away, pointing up at me. When I've got the F1 lapel mic, I usually we're using these stickies sort of just there. So you want to get that audio as nice as you can. If you have to resort to your backups, which I've had to in the past, where you've got H1s on the table, you do get people, when they're knocking, putting down their drink, clunking, and you get a lot of more ambient noise as well. So that's why having sort of lapel mics, or if they've got the microphone you hook straight to the soundboard, that's probably the best audio that you will get from a wedding. Other good little tips to have are your business cards. This is just a business card holder, but take your business cards on the day, give it to the photographer, give it to the flower girl, makeup artist. You could be chatting to the makeup artist for an hour and a half in the morning. Networking, use it as networking. So take business cards. There might be other people there looking to get married. Give them your business card because they like you as well. You're selling yourself at the end of the day. So if you're looking to get more clients, people might be like, I like that guy. Yeah, he worked like 15 hours, didn't he, that day? That's what the things they might be talking about. Literally, he was non-stop. He was, did he even get a rest? Did he have time to eat? So, people will be looking at you. So take your business cards. You might be handing them out to a few people who are looking to get married. And the other thing I'd say, little top tip here, if you are especially filming your first wedding, take your own food and drink. So in my contract, I do put in a hot meal to be provided, but that's sometimes not till 5 p.m, 4 p.m, 5 p.m, and you might be at bride prep 8 a.m, 9 a.m, so it's a long day. So I literally take a cooler box, put a bit of ice in the bottom, and I'll put a sandwich in there. I'll put a chocolate bar, basically a Tesco meal deal. I'll go get a Tesco meal deal, get a drink in there, and actually a fizzy drink as well, give you that little bit of energy. But I don't usually have that straight away. I take water with me as well. So you want to stay hydrated. That is key. Take nuts as well. Just be snacking, because all of a sudden you'll just be, if you get me like me, you might be hangry. So just keep yourself fed. And that is probably one of the most essential things that you can take to a wedding. And then if they do forget about you with food, at least you have had some and you can go out and get some. Or if the food is rubbish, you've always had your own. And I actually take plenty of snacks. I take protein bars. I won't get into the debate of, are protein bars worth it if you're trying to get that extra bit of protein, or do you get protein from other natural sources? But they are handy for the day. I sometimes, especially if their meal's rubbish, just have a quick protein bar after that. It's always nice. So stay hydrated and eat plenty whilst you're filming, because you are on your feet all day. And like I said, this video is aimed at people who are just looking to start getting into filming their first wedding. So you are going to be on your feet a lot throughout the day. Just bear that in mind. And you might be. This is like. You might be wondering what to wear. So I go quite smart casual now. I used to literally wear a full-on suit. Luckily, I used to wear my my shoes that I got married in myself. I'm quite lucky; they're actually really comfy. But now I have black chinos, a shirt. That's sort of like winter, spring, autumn gear. Summer weddings, I've got like a stone-coloured chino. I wear some sort of white shirt or sort of light coloured shirt. I don't go a tie anymore. Shoes wise, I usually wear some quite comfy boots, look a bit like Chelsea style boots. But I always have I've got a plain black pair of Converse that I keep in the car as a backup, and always drive home in those as well. Put a bit of comfort on, and take a spare pair. You actually have a whole outfit change, because you might bend down to get some sort of shot, rip, your trousers go, or you might walk through some sort of muddy field, which I've done before, and you might want to change your trousers. So also have a backup change of clothes as well. So now that's probably quite a lot to take into, especially if you're literally filming your first wedding, a bit nervous. But I do hope this video helps. Subscribe to my channel, because I've got plenty of helpful tips like this. And like I said at the beginning, this is from my experience, and this is what my channel is about. If I do some sort of product review, gear review, it's something that I've used and it's my review. I did previously, a few weeks ago, put a video out which someone sort of disagreed with me and said I didn't know how to use it properly. This is going back to the Ronin S, how I use it with my camera. But I was more coming from a point of view of how I use it throughout the day, and I'd rather use a glide cam. And they just, I don't know. Anyway, I'm not going to go into one. So yeah, please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next week. Bye bye.